Mayor Campbell will be out for about 30 minutes. He has a previous engagement he has to attend to as a mayor, so I'll be taking over this meeting for the moment. Art invocation, please, by Pastor Daniel Hennon of the Western Avenue Baptist Church. If you could please join us at this microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please bow your heads with me? Dear Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful day. Thank you for this opportunity to come and meet. Lord, we thank you so much for our city officials that are represented here today and for all of our council members. Lord, we ask that you would give them wisdom as they debate issues today. Lord, we also thank you for our sports team that's represented today. Thank you for these young athletes. We pray that you would bless them and all their accomplishments and in their future careers in baseball. Lord, we also thank you, most of all, for the right and the public freedom to still pray at these meetings. So, Lord, would you bless us? Would you give us wisdom? Lord, it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. And our Pledge of Allegiance by our new city attorney.
Stand up.
Everyone stand, please remove your hats, face the flag.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And if you could please welcome our new city attorney, Mr. Smearden. This is his first meeting here as well, so congratulations to you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, a first and a second, and a 2.5, I think there. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. So if you have any comments at this time or any questions of council, that's something that's not addressed on the agenda, please come forward to the microphone to your left.
Can we also do this after the presentation, because we might have the people out in the hallway that might have a presentation?
Sure, absolutely. Is there anybody here at the moment that would like to make an announcement before council? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item. That's 2A, recognition of Brwl All-Star baseball teams, 9 and 10-year-olds, 11 and 12-year-olds, and 13 and 14-year-olds. So we're going to be doing that next, just by raise of hand who's in the 9 and 10-year-olds. All right. So there's a few of you. Hopefully your parents are here to enjoy the moment with you, and we're happy to have you here. What about the 11 and 12-year-olds? Fantastic. And the 13 and 14-year-olds? All right, that's great. Well, it's a pleasure having you out here. Again, I know it's a little bit warm. It is for me. I just took my coat off just because it is so hot out here. But it's a pleasure having you out here. We're going to be handing out the recognition out front with the rest of council. And we'll go name by name. We'll present you an award. We'll join together and take a picture together. So we'll be out there doing that. So these are the 9 and 10-year-olds. We'll start with these, right? Yeah. I think they're already out that order. Yes. So if you tell them to use those, and then you can do these. Let me go around because I know where to take a picture.
The head. George, up here.
Yeah, no.
Really good.
Well, I don't think people catch it, man. People don't recognize when you don't have any hair on your head, you have nothing to catch that sweat, so I'm sweating like an animal.
Need a beanie.
Oh, come on, just wipe your forehead. Well, we're going to start with the 9 and 10-year-old Brwl All-Stars, and council member Noriega is going to present you with the award. We're going to gather around here and take some pictures afterwards, okay? Angel Brwl. Angel. How are you, Angel? Come on over. Congratulations. Daniel Camillo. Davian Esqueda. This is baseball, not football. What's going on? That's good. Congratulations.
Here's your certificate.
Ethan Gutierrez.
Congratulations. Here's your certificate.
Ronaldo Montiel.
Congratulations, sir. Here's your certificate.
Sebastián Morales. Fernando Noriega. Elijah Saiza. Richard Salcido. Aiden Torres.
Congratulations.
Pablo Torres.
Pablo. That's that. Give me your hand. Got a shake first. Thank you. Congratulations.
Jacob Zendejas. Is Jacob not here?
No, he's sick.
All right, well, congratulations, Jacob.
Yeah, there's two lights.
Elijah Salgado.
And
Elijah Salgado. Manager Blas Gutierrez. And Coach Pablo Torres. Coach here. Oh, it's just for, okay. Bernie's here. And another recognition, what's it, gentlemen? Fernando Noriega, if you could come up, please. Big round of applause, please, for the 9th. If we can gather around in a picture up front. Kids up front. Kids up front. And the heavy duties in the back.
Just a little bit so we can see your face. I'm going to be right there. I'll be like,
Yeah. I'm almost catching up to you, honey. I'm the city manager, not the picture.
All right. Everyone, look forward. 3, 2. All right, one more. 3, 2. Okay, right here. Everybody look at me. We're going to be here a while. Relax. Big smiles. You're smiling big, look. Mr. Nava, big smile. Stay there. Mom, Dad, can you video?
Hi, Mom. How's the selfie going?
Be careful where you post these pictures. Yeah, get closer. Is there too much shine between us here? You don't need flash?
Put Donnie in between you guys. That's it. You're next.
Thank you, boys. Thank you. Bye.
Congratulations to these kids.
Thank you for coming. Congratulations.
Good work, good work. The next group is the 11 and 12-year-olds for Brwl All-Stars. We're going to start with John J. Aguirre. Damian Garcia. Damian. Christian Garcia. My nephew. He spends more time in my house than I do. Nathan Gonzalez. He's not here. I'm ready. All right. He's running lap. Is that what you're doing? Jonathan Gonzalez. Wyatt Hensley. Ramiro Jimenez. Jude Luttrell. Reyes Lizárraga. Max Morales. Let's start lining up in between each other here so we can get Milton Rosales. Aaron Rubalcaba. You said a brace there. Nathan Torres. Jacob Zendejas. Is there another one? Where's Jacob Zendejas?
9 and 10.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we'll start with those in a second. And manager Alex Torres. Congratulations, Coach. And coaches Milton Rosales and Alex Garcia. All right, everyone, if we can grab a picture.
It's an honor to meet you.
We're going to have to do this in layers. The white's taller than everybody. She's in the back. Okay. Did we all scoot back?
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Back up, back. Everyone. Yeah, you got it. Here, brother, come on.
Yeah. The next one.
You.
Just all you two.
I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know, right? Because I'm next to this guy.
George, just get in the front, Neil.
Yeah, right? Next time we can do it. Yeah. Okay. Good job. We got the back there. Everybody smile. Hold your things up straight. Yeah. Everybody look at me and smile right here. Over that. 3, 2, everyone look over here.
But we really wanted to go.
One more.
This week for sure.
Mom, Dad.
Wait.
Big round of applause.
Because this is where the kids are in this age group.
Oh, right. Where's that?
Their names in there. Because it says age group, that's
This was the one last announcement with that last group. That was the last group. Jonathan Gonzalez, June Luttrell, and Nathan Torres also represented Brawley in New York. So a special round of applause for them. Okay. All right, the next announcements are for the 13 and 14-year-old Brawley All-Stars. And we'll start with Alec Aguirre.
Some big ones.
Robert Brwl. Brandon Gamble. Alex Fernandez. Casey Klein. Brandon Lopez. George Mickles. You got the best thing of all of them, brother. Good job. Dylan Reyna. Isaac Rios. Isaac's not here. We have his award design today. Jonathan Rodriguez. Jacob Sapp. AJ Torres. Ethan Torres. And coaches Austin Gastello, Ralph Lopez, and Agustin Torres. Please come up. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right, coaches in the back row. So man. Is the only time you tell anyone what to do? You want to be a probably. Kids. Are you the really tall kids to be in the front row? You guys are still. Yes. Okay, you just stand over here.
Hey, George, it's a bit.
Helen, step. Good. Okay, you look back, forward. Sorry, now we can see it. As it were. Good.
Okay, everybody look at me. Big smile.
All right, stay there. Come on. Helen, look up. 3, 2. Mom, Dad, and everybody else, get yours. The paparazzi kids put that up on their thing on the
Here,
bar.
1, 2, 3. Here, real close to belly.
Sorry about that. All right, well, congratulations, everyone.
Bye, Linda. Bye, Linda.
We get one more photo. Yes, River, Joe, Jonathan. Thank you very much for doing that.
Bye, Linda.
And Torres, Torres. Yeah, did she see that? No, oh, Jude's not here, right? Yeah. Congratulations. I'm scared.
None of their in sports. Okay.
Bye.
One's missing. Hey, big smile.
Wait, it's a flash. All right, good job. See everyone, thank you.
Did they give you your sons?
No, we didn't. The coach took it.
Oh, okay.
If we're still under public comment, we can make a comment. If it'd be okay.
Sure.
We're still under public comment.
Let's just get everybody back in and then we'll continue with public comment, so.
Okay.
We're gonna have to sit down and take other pictures of the jackets. We've got introductions of fire. Oh yeah. We may have to put our jackets.
It's like once I come back up here, it's hot. It's cool down there.
It's cool right now. It's getting cool.
Just so screw it.
Well, usually it's so cold in here we're freezing.
That's what it is.
Today
It's that,
Well, I think that blows right in the,
it blows right
Yeah.
here. I was like freezing, huh?
I was standing there and it was a lot cooler there.
Hi, Mija.
Here comes our department heads and some other people, the library people.
Is there big movers and shakers here?
We get to them. They're coming in. All right.
Oh, that's right. We forgot about that. Yeah. We present something, you know.
On the first item.
So that's the first time in regular business. Yeah, but we're just a few minutes away from that.
Yeah.
So. Let's get
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll come tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna have to put our jackets back on.
I will when it's not. Oh, look at that.
Is that your new iPad there?
That's an egg pad.
Yeah, right? Yeah, there you go.
We're gonna wear that or something?
We had a great summer reading program.
There you go.
Yes.
If those CDs could talk, huh? Who knows?
I hope not. It's been in my office.
Right? Yeah. Is that everyone back in?
Donnie did that when he was over at one of the meetings.
Well, we're going to continue quickly with public appearances and comments. If there is a comment from the public at this time, now's your time to.
Well, apart from Little League, I know you guys heard about the New York trip. 3 of the boys, well, one's missing, but boys here were picked out of 80 kids in the country to go play baseball in New York. It was the National Youth Baseball League. 4 kids from the Imperial Valley were chosen, 1 from Calexico, 3 from Brawley. It was an experience, and the boys can tell you, me and Alex had the privilege of taking the boys. Something that, who knows if they'll experience again. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they get picked again, maybe next year. They're talking about Florida next year's, other trips. But first off, me and Alex did want to tell City of Brawley and everybody that came through, Donnie, I mean, a bunch of you guys helped us get there. It was an expensive trip we planned in 7 days. I mean, it was they called us on a Tuesday, and the following Thursday we had to fly out. It was an awesome trip. The kids played five games, 5 baseball games. They didn't do they didn't win a whole lot of the games, but they played.
They won an experience, that's for sure.
It was an experience. Yeah. They got to go see where the Twin Towers were. They got to do a little sightseeing.
Fantastic.
But it was an awesome experience. So thank you. We have
just reiterate what he said. Just thank you guys very much for the support.
Good job to everyone there, and for your participation. I know coaching's very difficult. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of your commitment, and so good job. And I'm glad that you're able to help those kids out.
All right, Joe, before you go, go ahead, boys.
Guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I could, I know a lot of our players left, but to the young men that are still here, the players, you guys have to understand, you're setting an example, a great example, to all your other friends and kids that go to school with you. I can tell you right now, that's why Brawley has a lot of pride in their sports, as you can tell. We're going to take a lot of time to honor that, but the public needs to know. You have to have grades. You have to be. This isn't something where you go halfway, and your time commitment, because of sports and athletics, I will tell you, will take you guys a long ways, and it's beyond just the sport. So we're very, very proud of you guys. Very exciting to see you on TV. I think it's getting to where you turn on the television on any given weekend, and we're seeing Brawley
absolutely
kids playing all different types of sports. So boys, just keep it up. We're very proud of you.
Well, I believe it was when we said we're from Brawley, they were like, where?
Brawley.
Okay, you guys are from San Diego.
Get that a lot.
Yeah, kind of. So.
You know, we used to get that a lot, and it's funny you mentioned that. We used to get that a lot, but now, I mean, when we travel on city business, people recognize the Valley. They're starting to know it, and certainly you guys are putting our name out there, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Good job, you guys.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to make a comment or public appearance? Seeing none, we're going to move on to item 2B. Introductions of Brawley firefighter Grace Carpio, Brawley police officers Solomon Aid and Anthony Carlo Magno. Excuse me for mispronouncing. Park maintenance leadman Arturo Beltran, park maintenance workers Julio Velasquez, Cesar Duarte, and Parks and Recreation Coordinator Linda Self. So we're going to start off with
ladies first. Council members, Chuck Peraza, Fire Chief. I want to introduce you to Grace Carpio, our new probationary firefighter for the city of Brawley. Grace Carpio was born and raised in Los Angeles area. She relocated here into the Imperial Valley in the 2007 time, and she joined the Fire Academy at IBC in 2012. In 2013, she graduated from the Fire Academy, completing her EMT, her Firefighter 1 certificate, as well as her associate's degree in fire technology. Grace was hired as a reserve firefighter just over a year ago with the city of Brawley. And then she went through the testing process, successfully passed the interview, the testing, the physical agility, and she was the top candidate, and we now have her as a probationary firefighter. She'll be located out of Station 1 when she'll be under probation for 1 year. I introduce you, Grace Carpio.
Grace. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Grace? Please, now's your time.
That's your time.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to Brawley Fire, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited to work for Brawley.
Well, thank you, and congratulations, and best of luck.
I have to say that you got to remember, you're representing the women in not just the city of Brawley, but all over. We women we don't represent ourselves as much as we should, but going to this conference, I'm going to get more women involved in many aspects and many jobs. So thank you for being one of them.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. It's my honor to introduce two of our newest employees. First, I'd like to introduce Solomon Eid. He was hired July 22nd. Solomon has shared with me this has always been a childhood dream of his to be a police officer. We have an opportunity here to help fulfill that. He has some interesting background, as his grandfather was the police chief of Cairo, and also has some uncles that are police chiefs in the Middle East area. Closer to home, extended family and law enforcement in the LA County area. And I bring that to light because that support at home, as you know, and the support here that we give is plays a huge part in the success, especially with a young officer coming forward. Solomon was raised in Irvine. He graduated University High School in 2004. All-American CIF finalist in swimming all 4 years. Proud to bring that on. Athlete just...
Okay.
He attended Cal State Fullerton, attained his bachelor's degree in kinesiology, which is sports science. He put himself through Fullerton College and graduated in 2012. And we're very pleased to have him on our department. I think he's going to make a great addition and a asset to this community. Solomon Eid.
I just want to say thank you again. This is my dream come true every day. You know, I wake up, I get to put on a police uniform and drive a police car. You know, but you know, my friends are sitting in a cubicle, and I get to go play outside and make a difference in the community. And thank you again. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
The second officer I'd like you to introduce to you is Anthony Carlomagno. And as mentioned in the past, kicking off a new officer's career has been one of the very highlights so far for me as a chief. And I get to see these individuals as they come on as candidates, and I have the chief's interview with them, and the nervousness, and I have an opportunity to reflect, but the desire is there. Their heart is in the right place, and they want to be there for the community. And this is what I've noted with Anthony as well. Anthony is from Chico, California, graduated Pleasant Valley High School. He moved to San Diego, where he became a certified fitness instructor. In 2013, he put himself through Palomar Police Academy and graduated. And we're very pleased to welcome him aboard. He was just sworn in September 2nd. This is Anthony Carlomagno.
And thank you everybody for having me. I mean, this is, like I said, a dream come true to be a police officer. I really grown to like the city of Brawley. I like the small town atmosphere this city has. It seems like a family already. I'm glad to be an officer here.
Fantastic. Would you pronounce your last name for us just to make sure we're clear on it?
Yes, sir. Carlomagno.
Carlomagno.
Carlomagno, I remember that. Now, your alma mater, is that Aaron Rodgers or no? Different high school?
Same high school.
That's what I thought.
Which moved him right to the top.
Well, congratulations and the best of luck to all of you.
Yes.
Today's picture day.
Today's picture.
Let's get the robot in the picture too. Congratulations.
Okay. They swore on me today. So everybody make sure you can see me and smile.
I'm trying to smile when I see you, Lloyd. You okay?
All right. 3, 2, and 1 more. 3. Welcome to Brwl.
Bi-weekly reporter Roy serving.
It's a great idea. She can add it to her report.
The national stage.
You don't need to what?
Good evening, everyone. I would like Cesar Duarte to come up and Arturo Beltran. Can you stand right here?
I know you guys.
Wait, we know you guys.
Cesar Duarte started with the city as a general laborer in the Parks and Recreation Department April 19, 2012. Cesar applied for the full-time regular position as parks maintenance worker and was chosen from the top candidates. We would like you all to welcome Cesar Duarte. Arturo Beltran started with the city June 17, 2008. If you knew that, huh, Arturo? As a building maintenance worker in Parks and Recreation, Arturo would assist with park maintenance as well. Arturo was promoted to the position of park maintenance leadman July 28, 2014. Please welcome Arturo Beltran. We also have another gentleman, Julio Velasquez, who couldn't make it, and his is way longer than these two gentlemen here. But just so you know, if you see him out there, it's Julio Velasquez. Started working with the city as a general laborer back in October 9, 2008 in the Public Works Department. When a longtime employee retired, the street sweeper position was open temporarily, and Julio applied and was successful in the move over to street sweeping. When the position became permanent, Julio was the logical choice and was promoted to full-time regular position of sweeper operator on April 12, 2011. January 2014, street sweeping was outsourced and Julio was moved over to Streets and Utilities Division as a Utility Worker 1. Julio has a passion for landscaping and applied for the Parks Maintenance Worker position and was successfully chosen for the position. Please welcome Julio, who is not here. But also, at this time, I would like to introduce you to Linda Santos Self, who is my right-hand person. Linda started working with the city in 1988. I told her we were dating ourselves. 88. Seems so long ago.
Yes, at the library.
At the library, as a library clerk. In 1991, when the administrative secretary position opened, Ms. Self applied and was successfully chosen. This July, Ms. Self was promoted as Parks and Recreation Coordinator. We are proud of our new hires and promotions, and we are banking on them doing a good job to benefit the city of Raleigh. Thank you. If you'd like to say anything, this is your time, and they told me they didn't, and don't ask them and leave them.
Thank you for the speech.
Sure, absolutely.
Linda has a
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I love working with Pat in the Parks and Recreation Department and look forward to this new position I have. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Rosanna.
Thank you for serving in the city of Brwl. Thank you and congratulations.
And my last words are go Ducks, right?
How is
Mr.
Ducks doing?
It's so much fun when
Yes, does it know so much?
Our grandson. Everybody's been celebrating with her. The national attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, Susan.
Yeah, we're going to give it to
I wish.
There you go.
All right.
At least
Here we go.
a couple.
At least a couple.
Well, congratulations to all the promotions and to the new members of staff. We welcome you. And congratulations. We're going to move on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. Item 3, items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at the time determined by the mayor. Now, there's several items on the agenda. Is there anything that needs to be discussed by council?
None.
None. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll go and make a motion to approve the consent.
There's a motion to approve by Councilmember Wharton, second by Councilmember Noriega. Any discussion here? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is regular business, and it's 4A, presentation of a proclamation for Brwl Public Library's participation in the anniversary of the California State Library's Adult Literacy Campaign. So that is next.
All right, you got it.
Mayor Campbell isn't able to make it at the moment. I think he will be arriving shortly, but I will take his place as Mayor Pro Tem and read the proclamation. So the proclamation is recognizing Brwl Public Library's participation in the anniversary of the California State Library's Adult Literacy Campaign 1984 to 2014. Whereas our community's greatest resource is our people, and the growth and stability of our community are significantly affected by the ability of our citizens to read, write, and compute. And whereas there is a correlation among, I'm going to interrupt myself, if we can just please pay attention to this because I think it's so important. It really is. And I'm reading through it and it makes a big impact. Whereas there is a correlation among literacy, individual self-esteem, and the vitality of our cities that affect our citizens in their goals, which allows them to function more effectively at home, in the community, at work, and as lifelong learners. And whereas it is in the best interest of our society to help increase the literacy levels of all its members, and the Brwl Public Library has participated in the California Libraries Literacy Services Project through various venues since 1984. And whereas the Libraries Learn, which is Libraries Enable All to Read Now program, the Families for Literacy Storytime Project, the Talk Time English Conversation Class, and the Literacy and Mobile Book Services LAMS preschool program are all helping to build a community of readers. And whereas as the state of California is celebrating September 2014 as Adult Literacy Awareness Month on the 13th anniversary of the state's program, and whereas since 1965 UNESCO has proclaimed September 8th as International Literacy Day, and the Brwl Public Library is celebrating literacy in all its forms during September 20th, 2014. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mr. Campbell, here, our mayor of the city of Brwl, proclaims September 2014 as Literacy Awareness Month. And you can read that from there. Commend the efforts of hundreds of volunteers.
You got it.
All right, well. Our mayor commends the efforts of hundreds of volunteers, tutors, and adult learners who have worked through Library's adult literacy program during the last 30 years. I recognize the Imperial County Children's and Families First Commission for their 13 years of commitment to the LAMPS program that promotes pre-literacy concepts to children, their parents, and caregivers. I honor citizens who are improving their English conversation skills at the Talk Time program over the last 3 years. I urge citizens to support the goals of the library's literacy programs to make Brawley a more literate community. And it's signed by our mayor, Mr. Don Campbell. So congratulations to you all.
I'm Marjo Mello, the library director, and I would like to introduce our library board of trustees. We have our president, Elizabeth Lorenzen. A. We have Dixie Smith, who's been on the library board since the early 90s and is our friends of the library, including our bookstore and everything else we do.
Yes.
Thank you. And we have Mrs. Judy Grant, who is also on our library board of trustees and has a lot of family resources that kind of help us at the library also with everything that we do. The other person I'd like to introduce is a person who's actually been working with the Literacy Project in Imperial County for 30 years, and that is Mrs. Susan Manger. Through, as we said, different venues with Literacy Volunteers of America and working with the county library, and then now independently with the Brawley Library, we've been working very hard for a long time to promote literacy at all levels. And as you pointed out, it is extremely important in how we run our lives every day.
It's a fundamental requirement. You need to be able to read and understand and comprehend. It's so important.
Exactly. And I think at the Angel Tea, some of you got to meet some of our Talk Time people. So you can see the individual results that we get from the different people who work so hard to improve themselves. We're just really think that's an incredible thing.
Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to present that proclamation.
Did you have some pictures? I know, Susan says, don't take my picture with something, but come on.
Let's get down. Are we going to go down there and take a picture together?
They always look like me. Yes, exactly. We're never going to get skinny, but we can make 2 rows. Yes, there we go. That's a little better. Do we fit?
Good, everybody's fine.
They breathe. There we go. We have a gauntlet to throw down to the City Council, to Mr. Miller from the Desert Review, to Chief Peraza from the Fire Department. It takes money to run the literacy program, and we all know we don't get as much money from the state as we used to. You know this is coming. Because you have an idea. We're having a trivia bee. All of the libraries are sponsoring it. It's going to be October the 2nd. It's going to be at the fairgrounds. And we can have a team of 3. It's $300 for your team. I've challenged you twice now.
So that's $600.
That's it, 3 times already. Anyway, we are challenging the city council, other civic organizations to put together a team. The questions are, I have been told, the same categories as Trivial Pursuit. I've been trying, that's what it's going to be. Because we needed a sports person. I kidnapped him, so you can be their sports person. Their sports person. Lloyd is a great music person and other knowledge and random trivia. But it's going to be fun. There's going to be food. Yes. And prizes and things. And what time? We're hoping people show up between 5:30 and 6, and we want to start the questions at 6. And a sample question is, who carved Pinocchio?
Geppetto.
There you go.
Geppetto.
There you go.
That's easy. I put this challenge out to Don. If not get up there and I'll be on his team. What a child. I put out the challenge, if the mayor puts up $300, I'll be on his team.
Ah, there you go.
Geppetto. Chuck card. I know that one. That's easy. Really good at trivia.
And you didn't introduce us to your friend here.
I'm excellent at Trivial Pursuit. Yes, what is that all
And the
about?
robot is from our summer reading program, which I give the statistics later, which are boring, but the robot's cute, so I brought him some data. Yeah, and this was something a child made out of recyclables for our Build a Robot contest.
I thought Donnie did that one at the meeting.
Really clever.
He helped. Donnie did that when he was at the meeting.
Yes.
Donnie helped with it.
Really? Oh, it's empty though.
Yep, if you put up $300, I'll be on your team. Dang.
I'll give you $100.
No, this week's $100. We go. We're on. I challenge regular business. $400, I'll be on your team.
He's already on a team.
Oh, is he? Who's team
Miss
is
Grant said last night she announced
Oh,
it that he was on her
please.
team.
Oh,
yeah.
please.
Yes.
They just can't take somebody and put them on.
Well, they did.
Mr. Mayor, we're on 4B.
I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Mr. Nava for starting the meeting for me, and my colleagues and staff. But I attended the Save the Date Breast Cancer Deadline meeting at the Pioneers Memorial Hospital, and what the National Breast Cancer Coalition is doing is they're setting a deadline date for a cure for breast cancer, which is 2020. And it was a very interesting meeting, and I'll get with my colleagues and the city manager later. I would like for us to do a resolution supporting that and maybe challenging the other cities and some of those other folks to get involved. It was a very interesting meeting, so I want to apologize for being late, but we'll go on to the next item on the agenda is review and potential action update of the 5-year Local Transportation Authority program projects.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council Members, Yasmina Arellano, Public Works Director. The Local Transportation Authority was formed as a result of the passage of Measure D, which is a local county-wide transportation measure that provides for a half-cent transportation sales tax. 95% of those funds collected go directly to the cities and to the county to pay for asphalt rehabilitation projects for street rehabilitation. The remaining 5% is targeted for regional projects. The City of Brwl has an adopted 5-year list of projects that periodically is updated to remain eligible for LTA funding. This proposed update includes all of the city streets, what is presented to you tonight, and approval is recommended.
Any questions from council?
Yasmin, just a quick one on, is this an ongoing list that's kept? Or is it something that you assign to staff and this input just comes from the entire department, or is someone assigned to this? I was just curious how the list was formulated.
The street, it's an ongoing list.
That's
and
right.
it's updated pretty much as new subdivisions come in. We update the list and we include all the streets within the city, within the limits, so that we have an opportunity to do street rehabilitation or any roadwork projects throughout the city.
Like Palm Avenue.
Yes.
Just had to.
Yeah, nice like
Yeah.
Got to get that in.
That's coming.
And looking at the list, Jasmine, none of these streets only have been done before, right?
No, actually, some of the streets have been done before. Basically, this list, this is not the list of projects. What this is basically just the list. It's the 5-year program of projects list. And what we do in order to, it's kind of like a safety measure that we add all of the streets within the city, so that in case there's an opportunity to apply for federal funding or state funding, we have the opportunity to match it with LTA funds, as well as the flexibility and for example, if there's a street that it's in need of repair and there's a street project, and that's typically when we come to council and we ask for the amendment to the project list.
Okay. I'm ready. Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 4B.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We'll move on to the next item, review and potential action to award bid to Pave Tech Incorporated, Brawley Municipal Airport Airfield Pavement Seal and Striping, project number 306-0028-016 in the amount of $511,111.
Yeah, on July 25th of this year, the City of Brawley Engineering Department advertised for competitive bids the airfield pavement seal and stripe project. The project scope pretty much includes the crack seal, the micro milling of the asphalt, slurry seal, and striping of the runway, taxiways, and parking aprons. This project is funded at a 90% reimbursement from the Federal Aviation Administration. Design and construction, as well as construction management and inspection. But in this case, the construction bids, we received two on August 18th. The lowest bid being Pave Tech out of Carlsbad in the amount of $511,111. The second bid received was from Pavement Coatings from Jurupa Valley, so in the amount of $620,953. Both of them are out-of-town firms.
There was no local contractors that bidded the job, Jasmine?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Just a question. Any questions from council? No. Okay.
A motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. The next item is 4D. Thank you, Jasmine. Review and potential action to address certain obsolete portions of the Brawley Municipal Code as it pertains to planning by adoption of the first reading ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, repealing chapters 10A, 10C, and chapter 27, and renumbering chapter 10B to 10A of the Brawley Municipal Code.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members, Gordon Gase, Planning Director. And going over periodic review of the ordinance, come across things sometimes that you realize just have been already updated or are obsolete. I'll go through these very briefly one at a time, then you can ask me any specific questions if you'd like. Chapter 10A, design review in the business district. This was the first attempt at some kind of a downtown plan back in 1989. That it was based on the redevelopment area, which now no longer exists. When the redevelopment area went away, and actually even before that, when we began the downtown specific plan, we elaborated on those standards, and they're much more updated and cleaner now. They're actually a lot more detailed than what was in this ordinance. So just to avoid any confusion, I think it just needs to, so because if it's still on the books, people go, well, it says over here this, but that's not what we follow anymore. The second one, 10C, this was done also back in the 80s. There was no sections of the zoning ordinance that dealt with this before 1995. I don't know why they put it in a separate ordinance, but that's where it ended up. When they did the 95 update, that area, that slid over into the zoning ordinance and has remained there with some minor updates since the last 2008 update. Some of it was absorbed, and since it went into the zoning ordinance, some of the specifics were absorbed in other sections in regards to the parking, the lighting, the landscaping. There's a standard that applies to all projects on those issues, so they have separate sections in the zoning ordinance that specifically deals with that. The next one, just a pretty obvious one, just a renumbering of 10B to 10A, since we don't have the 10A and 10C anymore. And the last one is the portion of the zoning ordinance which was intended as essentially as the placeholder till we adopted a downtown specific plan when we updated the general plan and the zoning ordinance in 2008. We wanted to put what we could in there with the resources that we had when we were doing the general plan. Obviously, the downtown plan is a lot more, we got a grant for it afterwards. It's a lot more specific, a lot cleaner in the standards for what is required downtown. And when the downtown plan was adopted, it actually becomes a section. Any specific plan is basically a supplement to the zoning ordinance, and it is treated as an ordinance, the requirements and the standards that are in there. So it essentially superseded that section. It went into much greater detail and allowed for the mixed uses that we are now allowing in the downtown area. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
It was a lot of information to read through, and reading through all of that, I just want to make sure there's not something in there that we're missing that we're going to take out,
Right.
and that's going to affect downtown and some of the other areas.
Right.
That was my only concern, and I called Rosanna after reading through it. I mean, it's a lot of information.
Yeah, well, the downtown plan actually is a much more detailed than those 10 pages of the ordinance there.
Yeah.
That were not even that were originally, like I said, meant to hold that until we could get the monies to actually do a downtown specific plan, which we were fortunate enough to do when we got the Compass Blueprint grant.
And I randomly just picked one, for instance, because I didn't want to take up Gordon and our city manager's time. So one of the things was lighting, and it had to do lighting for parking areas. And so he explained to me, we went back to cross-check with Rosanna to cross-check and see if it was in there still with a multiple family, and it was not. But Gordon came in and assured us that it was in there, but not in that place. So I asked him to show us, and he did. So,
right.
Good job.
Councilmember Noriega is correct. That I kind of touched on the parking, lighting, and landscaping, since those are standards that apply to all site plans and projects. Right. It was, instead of having to write it 3 times, it's just in one place in the zoning ordinance now, and it does obviously apply to multifamily projects also, so those standards are upheld by the zoning ordinance.
Any questions from council?
I guess my only I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I guess my only question is on the repeal of the ordinances. How do we? It's not really specific in the backup how we actually go through that, or do we have to do a reading? Do we have to wait for not 60 days? How does that work? Because I'm not sure.
When you repeal an ordinance, it's the same as passing an ordinance. You do a first and second reading, but it's just consecutive council meetings. You have no wait period.
Okay. That answers my question.
That was along the lines of my question. Just to add to that, and I take it, obviously, Planning Commission does review these actions. Of course, I'm sure that's in the minutes of the planning meeting.
Yes, and we explained that to them too. Went through the same process, and they had no problems with it and recommended the repeal also. You see on page 236 is the actual ordinance that, as Mr. Smearden mentioned, is first reading, second reading, just like you would be doing an ordinance to do something.
Okay.
Like I said, this just makes it, I just don't like to see things that are going to possibly cause problems in the future, so I just like to clean things up.
No problem.
Gordon, I'd like to commend you too, though. I think this is always a good thing when we're able to look at that and make sure there's no future conflicts as well. So.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the first reading.
As a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much,
Don,
Gordon.
I need to take roll call.
Okay.
Councilmember Noriega?
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton?
Yes.
Councilmember Couchman?
Yes.
Mayor Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Nava?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, 4E, review and discussion regarding collection of required utility deposits per section 26.8 of the City of Brwl Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, I brought this item forward a few months back. It's regarding the required utility deposit that is collected. It's currently $200 for residents, and the reason I wanted it is because we're starting to focus our energies on customer service, customer improvement, and it's just one of the items that I felt. I've done business in other parts of the county as a property owner, and they don't require a deposit. And so I just believe that the message it's sending is the wrong one. I don't think we should stop collecting the deposit from properties that are not owner-occupied, rental properties, and those sorts of things. But certainly for a purchase, when somebody's coming in, they're purchasing a home, they're making a big investment to purchase a home, I believe it gives the wrong impression. You have a lot of expenses when you first move into a property, and even $200, although it seems insignificant, it is, because you may not be able to eat at home that night because your kitchen and your utilities may not be on, so you have to go out to eat. And if you have a family of four, that's $80 or whatever it is. So it's just those little touches that we can focus on, and maybe we can change to help improve the experience that somebody has. The other item that came to me, and the reason I brought this on, was because there was somebody who came to me who had just moved into the city of El Centro, and when they went to establish their utilities, they received a folder, a welcoming letter from the city's mayor, and had all the contact information for the city departments. And so that was a welcome package that they received, and they felt good about that because they felt, well, now I'm a resident of the city. And on the flip side of that, a member of the public who moved into Brwl said, well, that's great that you got that. What I got was a bill. So it just wasn't the right impression that I wanted to set, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring this forward for discussion. So.
Any other questions from council?
I have a question on top of that. I asked, but I will ask Ruby. I haven't asked Ruby, but when you become a widow and you need to take your husband's name off and you put your name on it, do I have to make a deposit at that point?
That's a good question. Under the circumstances, normally, yes. I mean, not just that, it's just change in name, change in ownership, pretty much. It would trigger a deposit because you are a new customer to our account, to the city on the account. So normally, yes.
So that's kind of I kind of question that because I've, been there for 40 years also, so just because the spouse dies, I mean, I think that's a little
Okay.
too much.
Mr. Campbell, I believe I interrupted, though. I believe Ruby was going to make a presentation on the item before we cut her off and kind of
that's fine.
got into it, but...
Presentation? Okay, go ahead.
Ruby Walla, Finance Director. Good evening, council members, mayor. Yes, this item was brought up. City manager had informed me that to bring up an item on discussion on deposits. And it was just to go over, which is in the staff report, how deposits are applied by municipal code, of course, for deposits for new owners. And that's new owners and tenants. The required deposit is 2 months of the base fee, which is currently $196.96. Deposits are refundable. They're all refundable deposits. Owners get them back within a 12-month period of a good pay history. Tenants receive them back upon the closure of the account, being that they move, or what we do is that those funds are then applied to the deposit on file. And that's what we do is to ensure payment is that we have a deposit collected in case that someone leaves the property or that account. The city then applies the deposit to any balance remaining, because in some cases we do have where they, of course, leave the property, don't tell us that there's a cancellation. It accumulates and continues to bill, things of that nature. So that the cancellation is the responsibility of the account holder. So we work with them in case sometimes they don't cancel with us and they don't agree to the amount billed. We work with them as far as when did you cancel with IID, any other proof of showing that they were no longer at that property and responsible for the balance, and then we work with them that way. But that's the only way a tenant will get refunded their deposit. Owners, on the other hand, they get a 12-month review on the anniversary of when they applied for the account. If they don't show a 12-month good pay history, it delays it for another year. The only time we don't look at it at that year, because of the amount of deposits we have, is upon customer request. And what we'll do is we'll count the months that they were delinquent, and we push it back that way. And that's if the customer requests. So
The same deposit applies, the amount, owner, non-owner, and of course is subject to change if it's, of course, commercial properties is different. The one example I'm giving here is based on a single-family residential account. The other deposit that we collect is for, this is something we brought in September of 2010 when we reviewed extensively shut-offs. Shut-offs that we did, repeat offenders and so forth, and that's when we looked at the late fees, reconnection, and that's when we looked at a reconnection fee. We do have a reconnection fee of $25. However, what we also instituted is that we would actually, those that are shut off for non-payment, that they pay a deposit. If a deposit is not on file, they would be responsible for paying the $196.96. If they have a deposit on file, they pay a $25 reconnection fee, or they update their deposit. And in this case, you have a long-time tenant that's been in one residence for 15 plus years, which is an uncommon in Brawley. So they could have a lower deposit from the time that they originally set up the account. We ask them to update the deposit to the current deposit amount, and so forth. So we have an after-hours reconnection fee as well, which is $50. And those deposits currently are also at the same place where they are reviewed in a year from the time that we collected the deposit. That we get a lot of pushback, of course, because there have been instances that I'll share with you is that you have been long-time Brawley residents, things happen, life happens, good pay history, years and years and years, and they forgot to mail in their payment. They don't have a deposit on file because so we treat them like any other customer, and that's where we get a lot of pushback as well, is because, I've been a city resident for 30 years, and I have to.
Upset,
yes, and granted, that's, we do understand that, and we do, it's not that we're being insensitive, but we're treating the next
You're
person
following
the
the
same.
rules,
Yes.
right. But that's why I wanted to bring the discussion up.
Right. And so that was what took place and what was instituted in September of 2010.
I don't see anything wrong with good positive change. And what I would say here is I agree with what Council Member Nava brought forward, but I think that there should be maybe a charge for what it costs to do the service, whether it's $30, $40, or whatever.
A reconnection charge or whatever.
Whatever
that's
that is.
understandable.
And
Sure.
then in the case with Councilwoman Noriega, there should be no charge for that. To remove someone from the account, we shouldn't charge those as a new customer. And I think that's what we should change it to.
If they are property owners, and that was my argument, is like if they're property owners, they're already making an investment in the city. And it's not like, and with our terms currently, they're going to be shut off if they're not paying their bill within a short amount of time. So it's not like they're going to accumulate a long history of non-payment. So our risk is a lot less in that sense. And maybe that it was different when this first was applied, but I believe it's changed. And it goes back to customer service, how we treat our residents, how we want them to feel. If somebody's been paying on time for the past 15 years and for whatever reason, maybe they changed bank accounts or whatever it was, and their payment is missing for whatever reason, a simple explanation goes a long way. That shouldn't require, triggering a deposit now. You know what? You're going to have to bring in a check for $196. And, it gives the wrong impression.
I think it's going to make a good change.
Sure, I think it's people.
Just a couple comments. How long have we been charging a deposit of $196? Since 2010, or has it been going on for?
Before that, because per the municipal code, there was already the deposit for new owners. So non-owner, non-owner or tenant, just a new application.
So we've been doing this for quite some time.
Correct.
Okay. So, and we probably had complaints about it at certain times all the way along. You guys probably fielded those. They don't necessarily come over to us as a city council.
Correct, because we do, the deposit is required, and we state that. And we do work with customers in the sense where we'll get your water on, but then they commit to pay half at that time, or they promise to pay, and they do come back and pay, because we do advise them, this is a payment arrangement, this is what, and we give them their application, like George said, they get a bill, basically it's their application for service, and it states on there what's the monthly charges they are responsible for, at what time of the month that they come in, and their deposit.
This looks a little more complex, though, than just saying we're not going to charge a deposit. It looks like we have a lot of different circumstances that come up that require certain amounts of money be paid, or that certain circumstances happen, like, say, a widow situation or something like that, where someone, if they're still the same person residing in the home, but they've had to change the bill's name. That sounds to me like one issue, and maybe you don't charge a deposit for that. But when someone is behind on their bill and we need a deposit from them, then that's another situation. Then when someone buys a new house, that's another situation. So it seems like it's a little more complex than just simply changing the ordinance and say we're not going to charge deposits for anything.
It is, but we also have to ask ourselves whether or not a deposit's even working. The intention is to collect when we feel that people may be moving out and leaving us without paying the bill, without a payment. And so we really do have to ask ourselves whether or not that's even working. It's hard to gauge, because right now when somebody is turning off their account and they're moving out, you're removing any balance from that deposit, so you're collecting it. But who's to say they wouldn't have paid that on their own anyway, right? And so that's the other item. Is it really working? If it's not, then I don't see why we need to continue with it.
And we had talked back when we had National Beef, when that happened with National Beef, about not paying their bill. And as a courtesy, I believe we asked, did we give them the courtesy of a telephone call? We were told no. So are we doing that now?
No.
We still aren't?
No.
Okay, I think we did ask that, we go into a little more, like Mr. Nava says, to be more courteous towards our family here, because this is our community, number one. If somebody's been paying for 40 years and 1 month, fails to pay, one, it could be she's in the hospital or he's in the hospital, and it needs to, I really think that we need to pick up the telephone and say, what's happening, and it's just out of courtesy. We're trying to change and be better public relations and make our family here in Brawley feel safer and know that we are all trying to help.
I think
it might be helpful for Ruby to provide a quick number of total residential accounts, number one, and number two, what is the number of accounts that typically are subject to shut off, if you can do that off the top of your head.
Well, I not split between residential. I have the total. We have roughly about 5,600 accounts, utility accounts, and we have, I would have to say on the shut-off list, when it gets printed at the end of the month, I'm looking at it's about 500 accounts roughly.
So about 10%.
And what we have on that, and we've tried to work with Public Works at one point when we had, because sending the guys out with that list, it takes a number of days, and then it has where staff, they have other priority projects in Public Works, and they assign about 2 people to do shut-offs. And we set a $75 threshold to not shut off, because before it was $25 and said, okay, let's do 25, but I don't think at this point it's even captured. It didn't really alleviate the workload. So what my staff does is they go through and they don't look at the names, because the packet, I guess the list, as large as it is, they get it out by 9 o'clock in the morning. That's the goal. They go through and they check what balances are 75 plus. And then they go through and write those put those on hold, which people have called in to make certain arrangements. Please don't shut off my water. I'm gonna, and those becomes encumbersome for my staff, because they ask me, do we have to continue to give this person an extension? And my opinion is yes. They have made the effort to pick up the phone and say, you know what, I can't make my payment by the 22nd. I know you guys are going to shut off, but I promise to pay on this date. And those we don't go off and shut off, because then we don't have to send staff to a location where someone's just going to turn around and come in and pay, or they had a good intent to pay, where there's others that kind of gauge it. Well, the shut off, it's Friday, they don't do shut offs. I can wait 3 or 4 days, because we've had those instances saying, why are you charging me a reconnection fee? You guys never, I always pay on this day.
Right. Yeah.
And you guys have never shut me off. Why now?
Right.
Well, it's just that you're the fish that didn't get caught that time.
Sure, I think the unfortunate part of things too is our technology is even as recent. How old are the water meters? They're not that old, right?
10.
But they're already antiquated, But because nowadays you don't even have to send anybody there. They receive their email and there's their bill. They can connect right from their computer and you can disconnect from yours. So,
Right.
our technology is behind the times.
Right,
yeah.
and it would be great to give courtesy calls, but this budget cycle, I did get cut one person.
Sure.
So to do that, what we tried, to do on the billing, when they receive their bill, is we footnoted on the bottom where if you look at the bill, all in the languages what our shut-off policy is, but above that in red shows if PB is noted, account is subject to shut-off. So when they receive their bills, because the bills get printed the day the list gets printed, the shut-off list gets printed, and those bills go out within that day, and people are receiving their bills 1 to 2 days from the date of printing. So that's I've highlighted because we've had those instances where on the top of the bill, the stub, it shows the whole balance and it says due the current month. But to kind of break that up and give more of an explanation on the itemized portion, we have notated so there isn't, so that we can communicate in some fashion that if you have this code, PB, and there's a dollar amount, your account is subject to shut off. We just had recently a customer call because their water was shut off, and and I go through the bill and try to explain it to them.
We don't have the staff to make those kind of calls. I think the intent that we talked about was a large account like National Beef, where if something happened to the payment and you got a $15,000 penalty, why sure, an account like that, maybe you give them a call, but it's not, how many times is that going to happen?
Right, and we've had instances, it's been a conversation sometime back, even, like I said, we've had different discussions between utility billing, my department, and Public Works, as far as a doctor's office. Timing, a state office, Caltrans, DMV, who are all here, and they have their way that they disperse, and we do look at those, and staff does ask questions, but when it comes to residential accounts, it's not particularly looked at out of the number of accounts, which
I remember Senator DeCheney's power got cut off, and it was not a good deal.
We're open to ideas. We're open. It would alleviate a lot of our workload. So if we want to put up the threshold, we're not, I can be honest with you, my staff isn't at the capacity to sit at a phone and make phone calls.
We don't have the staff to do that. No, that's not good. But I think we as a group and the staff should look at this and make the adjustments to where that deposit is not so burdened on the person that's buying the house, and then a renaming on our current account that's current, there should be no deposit for that.
Mr. Mayor, could I offer, and I apologize, I didn't want to cut in, but most of the questions actually through the discussion have been answered that I have, but I do want to say this is a discussion item, so I think it's really important that the public understands that we're not here to make a decision, but what I think would make sense for the council is, could we charge staff with, take this input. I think we discussed some very good issues, good payment history, the value of the deposit, how is it working, maybe a total evaluation of the whole process, and it sounds like there's some updating we can do with this, and hopefully move forward in a way where it makes sense, because I think in a lot of ways we're setting up our finance department for failure. You have angry customers, and we have angry customers as a city. I think if we can put some common sense into this, I know it's sometimes uncommon, and put some good staff thought into this, we can update this, maybe come back with a presentation of what we can change to address this. And then, Ruby, it gives you an opportunity to address the other side of this, which is mitigating the city's risk on what we may be losing. 500 accounts is quite a bit. Sure. So we need to address, there's kind of two sides to it, and if we could get that back. I have one comment about the courtesy call. And that's been brought up, I know, by Council Member Noriega, certainly, and it's been discussed as a council. It's not practical for us to, per se, to have staff making those phone calls, but I think many times, even an automated phone call, which the Brwl Union High School uses quite often, it's not going to get everybody. Not everybody's home. Not everyone's going to have a message. I get that. But it's better than what we're doing now, which is getting zero call, any kind of communication that your service is going to be shut off. Could we look at that technology?
There's technology out there, and Councilmember Wharton and I were at the league conference this past week. There's technology out there that can do a whole lot. I mean, most people, they don't want to receive a call at home. They don't, but a text message is just fine. So if maybe they can apply or an email reminder, anything like that, right? I don't know how our technology that we currently have, our SAP program, will integrate with that, but it's just something that we need to try and apply.
I would ask to explore what are the options that we have for that type of notification.
Utilities you can pay right on.
Right. And we'll talk about that later, but there is a mobile app that we're looking at trying to introduce for the city. It's very inexpensive, so I hope that can be integrated somehow. So anyway.
But I still pay for it.
Which one day, if we get to the online bill paying, those but it only targets those that are really registered, or it depends. We haven't visited at the time that we were actively looking at it, that has the program that is still my preferred, has that feature as far as sending notifications by email and so forth. But once we go that path, because that is still, now that my plan for my department, for the city, is being even down one person. That's one of my top priorities, is to move forward with the online, because that would alleviate what I would hope is a lot of the foot traffic in my lobby, and allow staff to do all the paper pushing that they need to on that end, and just deal with new sign-ups, not so much just cash handling.
Business license, whatever it is, right?
Correct.
I also believe that if you do a check, you're going to find that a lot of people have a water bill that comes to the wrong name, that isn't at that house any longer and hasn't been there for quite some time.
And we also have, and then we also have owners who do not have their tenants.
Right.
And that's a separate, that's another whole, that's a big animal as it is, because you get a shut off.
Right.
Tenants wants the water on,
I
but
paid
the
my
tenant
bill to my landlord. Why are you shutting it off?
That's the way most of it works.
Right, and then in our sense, our position is you're not the responsible paying party. We don't have any contract with you.
Correct.
Our contract is with
Sam Couchman.
Exactly.
Like I pay 3 water bills, okay? I pay 3 different water bills, and that's just the way it is. And they're all, some of them are in my name and some of them aren't. So, I can tell you truthfully that that's kind of what happens.
Yeah, because what happens is,
you just keep paying it.
And then it's, in all honesty, it's to bypass the deposit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
well, then that's another item that we need.
It's true.
And there's an item. There's another argument to try and eliminate it. But
well, I don't necessarily. I'm not necessarily against eliminating the deposit, but I am thinking that we've got to have certain sets of requirements that we have, and then maybe we reduce the deposit, maybe we eliminate the deposit under certain circumstances, maybe we leave it in place under certain circumstances. We may want commercial to do a deposit. We may want residential to not do a deposit. I don't know. We just need to look at all
that's the only thing that I'm considering is residential owner-occupied properties.
Right.
That's the only thing that I would consider eliminating.
So everybody else pays.
Business is business.
So if it's tenant, keep the 1 year, no issue with the 1 year?
Because that's still a business. If you're renting a property,
the new owners you're looking at suggesting to...
And a widow.
I think what we're asking for is you to take a look at the whole thing and give us back a report that tells us how this is going to impact us, depending upon if we go this way or this way, and then give us some recommendations as to how you think we should set up any exceptions to the rule, and then we'll move forward from there. I think
definitely.
That's what I'm asking.
We have our deposit files. And I'm glad to go through them, and we can go through with the best way is to tell you the longevity of some of the deposits.
Sure. And then as a courtesy, it might be important to speak with our neighbors in El Centro and Imperial and Calexico.
Yeah.
They don't they don't require a deposit, and just to see how it impacts them.
Actually, we have City of Imperial joining us tomorrow morning.
Oh, there you go.
To review our system.
They're going to start asking you
They're going to start charging a deposit.
Johnny?
While we're on the topic, I know we're almost done. I just want to throw in consideration for large industrial, because someone brought up national beef, I think we talked about. So
Absolutely.
while we're on the subject of potentially overhauling the ordinance, perhaps, or our process, let's maybe look at them, those type of obvious exceptions where that could trigger a phone call.
Yeah.
So rather than even an automated system, there are certain accounts, which I believe the penalty was $25,000.
Yes.
Wasn't it something?
It was quite a bit.
10%. Yeah.
20
So
22,000
large users, industrial, commercial business, there may not be a difference, but just additional considerations.
But I think earlier what I was just going to say as well was, for instance, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, I can't recall my full thought process, but like doctor's offices and things like that, we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's, I mean, we do take that into consideration and like the hospital and things like that, because that has been a topic, because we get the calls and I'm sure Yasmin gets it as well, as the guys are out there and like,
I need a jacket.
you know, there's a flag that, hey, and sometimes my staff they don't get those flags because they're just numbers driven.
Sure.
I mean,
But you have residents, I mean, if they're late on a payment because they don't have the money, it puts them in an even more difficult situation. You're requiring additional money when they don't have the money. You know, $200 feels like $22,000 of net. You know what I mean? It's just we have to make sure.
I get it, and we don't like being the bad guys
Sure.
either.
And I'm not sure if it helps anybody right now. I'm not sure if it's helping the city collect. So, at any rate,
And I think she needs to go back also and start working on what it's going to cost us to get this new technology that she's talking about.
Well, we
have the we've done the research on it. It's just the city's infrastructure, and that's well on its way. So
put it in place.
Working with the chief and James, so it's
Chief,
in the queue.
What's it going to cost?
It's in the queue.
Yeah.
All right.
Good progress.
Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you, Ruby.
We're going to move on to the next item as departmental reports. And
Mr. Mayor, if I may just note that I did request that our city engineer provide one additional report at the bottom of our lineup today, if we may, and she's available to do that.
Okay. Marjo.
I feel like I'm a contestant on a game show here.
We go.
Okay. Here is the land.
Is that Johnny Five? From,
You know, somebody said he looks a little bit like Wall-E.
That's Gold Canyon.
Wall-E?
Wall-E.
Gold Canyon E.
His name's Gold Canyon.
Yeah, but what's great is since 1995, we've had a stuffed pet show at the library where children decorate for the theme. Well, we originally wanted a real pet show, but when I realized that cats, dogs, turtles, fish may not, there may be some liability involved, we have a stuffed pet show. So they take their little animal, and depending on what the theme is.
Just with that name, I think there's liability, but
Pet show,
It's okay. Well,
show.
it's not roadkill
Right,
pet
right.
show.
It could be,
It's
though, but it
stuffed
could
pet
be.
show,
Yeah.
okay?
It could be.
But this year we decided to have robots. Create a robot. We asked them to use recycled materials. And this is one of the entries that won. Awesome. And we think he's adorable because he's definitely Gold Canyon. A can, his little seedy eyes, his little. I love this because
He's
I
got
wonder
seedy
what
eyes.
seedy eyes, yes.
eyes.
What this was actually holding in the egg carton. So I just wanted to bring him as a sample because our theme was Fizz Boom Read, and we had tons of science experiments and all kinds of stuff. This is another craft the kids made where they decorated their own rocket. It's got a little magnet on the back, then they could put their own picture in. So it's show and tell because this is the best part of the whole program is what the kids come up with. We haven't done a teen program for a couple of years, and this year we decided to do it again. It was on Saturday afternoons at 2. So at the end of the program, we asked the teens, would you like us to do this again next year? Did you like it? And how about the time and date? And more than one conceded that, it's really cool. I'm sure they didn't use the word cool, that's from my time, but it's really cool because I can sleep in and still have something to do.
So we thought that was a typical teenage answer of approval. So we're going to, yes, so we're going to do that again. We had 10 to 12 teenagers every week, and they made candy. They did, it was an Alka-Seltzer related rocket outside, not Mentos, but it was a very similar process. They watched movies and ate a lot of pizza. That was their favorite. And I don't know if it's because of the Ninja Turtle movie or it's just a teenager thing. So we had that. At the Del Rio branch, we had probably at every program about 30, 35 children. And because of the fact that the branch is such a neighborhood area, we would have 40 or more parents and grandparents and other family members. So we had more of those than the kids most of the time. And they were on Thursday evenings, which means we also had people who even didn't walk, but people who worked could actually come to a story time with their child. And then our regular story time at the main library was Friday mornings at 10. And we would have anywhere from 6 to 8 teens helping us, as well as staff. And if you walked in, the noise level was not typical of the library, of the ancient world. Lately we're noisy. We have been for years, which I like. And we had a great time. We would like to thank Councilmember Couchman, who came and read and had a good time with the kids. And everybody had a blast because it's science experiments, it's they made candy, they, like I said, they did crafts, they did all kinds of fun things that they really enjoyed doing. And I think staff has as much or more fun than the kids do. We just love this annual program that we do.
I'm sorry, what ages were there?
We have Reed Demise, who are like first grade and younger. The kids earn prizes for being read to. And it can be read to by a parent, babysitter, older brother and sister, you know, the dog, some pets read to the kids or whatever. We have readers, which are like second grade up through about 8th grade. And then our teen program is 7th, 8th grade up through high school most of the time. Okay. And then our adult program this year, which we, you might have seen the newspaper and also the really good Desert Review article about our program we had last night. That was our adult summer reading program where Ivy reads and everybody read the same book over the summer. So we even had adults this year. We had a great time. That's my whole report.
That's where she put me.
You're gonna have to leave that mascot here in the chamber.
I can if you like. He's you know, and if you bring boiled eggs for snack, I mean, he's a little, you know, he can
Make him
carry
mayor for the
those
day.
and-
I bet he'll
Yeah,
make
really.
better decisions than we do sometimes, I'm sure.
I don't know. He's kind of cute, but
Yeah.
I just brought him because this is what we do. I mean, this is the kind of fun stuff we have. So
Pretty
and
crafty, that's for sure.
It
I
is,
like
and we had a dozen or more all over the library all summer. So
Yeah.
the kids, you know, this is like we have 2 left, and this is the other one's a little bigger. So we brought this guy.
Awesome.
But
Very nice.
He's cool. So thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Take it as my Halloween costume.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, department reports, is Mrs. Dorsey. And I want to say before you come up, I love watching your grandson play. Congratulations. He's a super young man, and he played really well
Thank you
on
very
Saturday. I enjoyed that juke move.
Juke move? I'll tell him that. Pat Dorsey, Parks and Recreation Director. I have to remember my title now.
Okay.
Good evening, council members, mayor, staff. Good evening. We started our summer program off. I worked with Shirley. We got it going, hired what we thought were the best applicants out there. First day of summer day camp, we have no air. 2 of our ACs went out, and we fixed those thanks to members here, your council members, but we have 2 more. But having said that, we still have the participants. They did not go away. We sent letters home telling the parents you can keep your child home
They're like,
we
no,
will
please.
refund your money. We will
It's
refund
all right.
your
Down
money.
Heat, put 'em out there.
We will do whatever, we'll make yourselves comfortable. No, they didn't. Out of 234 kids, only 4 dropped. It was 280 summer day campers. Then we had 234. At our swim lessons, paint, read, and play, we had 73. Our lap swimmers average from 2 to 10 per day. And in the summertime, we had lap swimming during lunchtime from 12 to 1 and from 5 to 7 in the evenings. Our adult softball never fails us. We had 540 participants. Open gym, 10 to 20 per day. Public swim, 5 to 30 per day. We don't get much at that time. The water's hotter.
The water's hotter.
And they just can't take it. At night, at family swim, it's pretty good, from 50 to 75 per day. Aqua Zumba is 15 to 25 per day, and that's twice a week. Zumba is 15 to 20 per day, and the PM class is 25 to 35. And that's a year-round class, along with another Zumba who does it at Del Rio. And then we have our year-round 15 to 20 karate students and 4 to 9 Polynesian dancers. Overall, we had a great summer. We look forward to doing it again and hope we have your support.
I went over there the evening that the kids did the sleepover.
Oh, yes.
And,
thank you very much for volunteering.
I went over there, was cooking hamburgers, and those kids started coming in there. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like wild in the streets.
Yeah, but you could tell they were excited. They had their sleeping bags, and some of them had little bags of munchies, and the kids really enjoy that.
They really enjoy it.
I know this summer was a challenge because of the air conditions, but you guys handled it well. So
you know, we're so blessed that we have these other little rooms where we can put these kids in. It's not just the Lions Center. We have the conference room.
Right, that's true.
We have a paint, read, and play room. We have a meeting room. We have the teen center. So there's other places. And during the sleepover, I have the suite of them all. I've been staying there for over 17 years, and I sleep in the conference room. It's pretty good.
Even the talent show, there was hundreds of people in there, and it was a little warm, but it wasn't too bad, you know. So
they don't care.
Yeah.
That is something
They don't. Yeah, they don't.
That's something they look forward to, and they're not going to give it up.
It was a good time.
Yeah. And the staff got up there and they danced also, so that was, yes, they participated, every one of them. They were good.
I didn't see you. You didn't.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I wasn't part of that staff.
She had a ringside seat.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have my informant. He's embedded in
Mrs. Benitez, Risk Administrator.
tells me what goes on every day.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council Member Shirley Bonias, Personnel and Risk Management, and thank you, I'm back.
Good to see you.
Too long, thank you, thank you.
Much more youthful like appearance.
Oh,
Looks great.
wow.
Yeah.
I do need to come more to these council
right.
meetings. Personnel summaries in front of you. Just kind of a couple highlights. We're down to only 2 openings at PD. We do have interviews scheduled for this coming a week from this Friday. The lab analyst actually started today. Yay! That was a long path, but
It's been a long haul.
yes, it was, but he has started at a perfect time, according to Yasmin shared with me earlier today. The chief water treatment plant operator interviews actually took place as well. There's going to be director interviews coming up this Thursday. Hopefully we'll have a candidate. If not, we'll move on and reopen. Please note there is an opening for utility worker 1, is not being recruited at this time. The temporary workers have already been in the mix and recruited for cattle call help, so we're gearing up. 4 have been selected by Public Works and going through the recruitment process, so we can start that right-away cleanup, and then 4 more will be hired for Parks and Rec.
Cattle call.
Yes, cattle calls, 2 months away.
2 months away.
Less than 60 days.
Less.
Here.
How many Christmas shopping days do we have?
Yeah, we
That I haven't figured out yet. Any
As long as
questions,
we-
sir?
As long as we have fewer days of summer, I'd be, I welcome everything else that comes during the year because it's hot.
Yeah.
Entertain any questions from council?
No, I'm fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Welcome back.
Good evening.
The floor is yours, dude.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity tonight to provide an update on the right-of-way cleanup activities in preparation for Caracol festivities, and also I'd like to provide some quarterly maintenance activities for the first quarter of the fiscal year. This is a city-owned property on North 7th Street. It's north of the Housing Authority complex. It was requested, actually was brought up to our attention by the Housing Authority, requesting perimeter cleanup around this property. It was found that we had a transient tunnel in the right-of-way of 7th Street, which is not paved, in between the fence and with the overgrowth. So all that was removed. Actually, the one that shows the 7th Street right-of-way would be to my right.
Is there a before picture?
It's underground living.
I don't have a before picture, but basically everything was full of overgrowth. I have some more pictures of other cleanup areas that we did that will show what kind of overgrowth we had to deal with. On the Southwest Avenue right-of-way cleanup, this is a before picture. And this is during the cleanup activities, and this is the after picture. So basically, the cleanup was from Mainland Street to southern city limits, the limits with Wildcat Drive.
So you just move the weeds over a little bit?
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
No, those are in the private property side. They've been noticed by buildings.
No, we moved them, dumped them on somebody's field.
We're working on it.
Yes. The North Yard, another city-owned property. This is in the vicinity of Duarte, the Duarte Street extension, in between the extension of North Palm Avenue and the railroad tracks. This is also perimeter cleanup. We have this was a before picture. This is a during picture, and this is the after picture. As you can see, there's a property to the east of the North Yard. So same situation we had on North 7th Street Yard. In the vicinity, this is the North Palm Avenue right-of-way. This is the before and after picture for that. On Northeastern Avenue, intersection of Northeastern Avenue and Duarte, this is the before picture, and this is the after picture. Yes, the River Drive right-of-way cleanup. This is the northern right-of-way from the extension of North Palm to the extension of North Cesar Chavez Street. This is a before picture, and this is the after picture. Moving to the west.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go back one slide, please. There was a cleanup that took place where that pile of dirt is, has got the fence around it.
That's the old Unicol property, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember that cleanup took place and they fenced that and protected it, but I think it had to stay there for a few years or something.
Correct.
What, you know the status on that?
Yearly they do some testing. They ask us for access to the North Yard. They have, I believe, 3 boring sites, some wells that they come and they sample. They're still sampling.
This is the old Brant farm. I grew up with my dad. He broke all kinds of labor laws with me there. He had me work there at night when I was like 11, so I remember that place.
And his parents were both here today. You didn't
Right? No, I
introduce them.
did. I know they were here.
This is a
They
site.
and their grandson.
This is a previous site for the River Drive subdivision, and right now it's being planned going through the DRC process on the trailer park. Yes.
Okay.
It's the same. Moving to the west, the North Cesar Chavez Street right away. So this is the before picture, and this is the after picture. Some improvements, maintenance at the water plant. It was painted, and then the table that you see in the middle, it was refurbished also by staff. And so they went through some organization. This is the operations room. This is the maintenance room. As you can see, it was also painted, the floor and the walls, and they did a corner for the confined space equipment. Moving outside, thank you. Moving outside, this is pumping equipment for the sodium hypochlorite for the finished water. They replace this pumps for maintenance and less maintenance type of pumps. This is a slab for the old chlorine gas scrubber. We have liquid chlorine tanks, which is the sodium hypochlorite for raw water injection. So this is they were installed also by city staff. And this is the finished water tanks. The shade was installed by staff. So it's pretty simple, but it works. This is the painting of the distribution system. We began painting of all metal pipes. So this is the beginning of it.
And that is located
actually adjacent to Caracol Drive. If you didn't have the hill, that graph,
you could see it.
You could see this is the pumps. This is basically where the water is injected into the distribution system, where it goes into the city, where it goes out. Yeah, you see all those pumps there.
Pumps.
Yeah, so that's what maintains the pressure throughout the system.
One of these days I'll go take
Yeah, definitely. We have about 10 to 12 hose reels, so just basic maintenance. And then we also designated again for safety confined spaces. The wastewater plant, this is interesting. This is BioLac number 3, and I'm going to provide basically a layout.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Could you go back one more slide? Over at the water plant, I did a tour at one time, and I remember that we were having an issue with raw water coming in from the district that was coming into our plant, really, really dirty. And Ruben showed me that discharge where it dumped that water over into another pond.
Yes.
Is that pretty much cleared up? Are we still having that issue?
About 75% of the problem was resolved when they did some improvements.
They put that gate. I remember they put that gate.
When they put that gate, yeah. The ponds that you're referring to, that's where they backwash into.
Right.
Before, yes, they used to send all that silt, and before we used to actually empty the raw water ponds every maybe 2 to 3 years and go in there with equipment and clean them, and we didn't really like that situation because we didn't want to harm the liner. But yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. Actually, we haven't really gotten into those raw water ponds in probably in 5 to 7 years now. But yeah, but we're still backwashing into the raw water ponds, which are on the easternmost section of the water plant.
Thank you.
So going to the wastewater plant, this is basically a layout. The pond that I'm going to be talking about is the one it's on the where the council member Nava is. That's basically north. So it's the northwest. Basically, the cleanest pond, the one that you see some. The other one you see some scum in it. So on basically the northwest pond, that's BioLac number 3. That was when we started, when we activated the plant, that pond was filled with canal water. And over time, because of toxicity and because of volume, we had to activate BioLac pond number 3. Because of losing our largest industrial user, we no longer have the need to have 3 BioLacs running, and because of toxicity also, we have 4 blowers at the wastewater treatment plant. So right now we're running between 2 and 3 blowers. So we're no longer going to need this pond at the moment. We have now some built up capacity. So what staff is doing, what you see right now is basically the bottom of the pond, that's sludge. They're injecting some canal water and trying to get it out with pumps without harming the existing equipment, because we have basically we have the blowers, and we have the system. We have the BioLac system at the bottom. Basically,
is that what it is?
Basically, yes. So we're gonna try to clean it as much as we can, and then fill it back up with canal water for structural integrity, and also for integrity of so that we don't.
The equipment continues to operate.
It doesn't get damaged by the UV system, right? Exactly. So we're gonna basically fill it up with canal water so it can remain underwater, and then run the oxygen very low, and basically it's supposed to look like this again. So I just wanted to share some of the maintenance activities that Public Works Department is going through.
On the residential water drainage, when are those clean, or how often are they clean, or is it just when the residents call where the water, from the gutter goes into the drainage at the corner of each roadway?
It typically is work order driven. The ones that are, and when I say work order driven is by resident complaint. The ones that are done systematically are the ones in the combined system, and those are. They have to be done in preparation of a storm. Like, for example, last week, we were working constantly on clearing the catch basins because we have a big issue with foam cups. Foam cups. The problem that we're having is with the North Imperial drain. This last storm, we were able to contain the overflow because in the future, we're going to need to pipeline that storm drain extension. But we were able to contain it by having staff monitoring every 2 hours. Even though we cleaned up the catch basins, we still had a lot of foam cups in the system. So every 2 hours, we would have to go up there and clear it in order for the water to drain. We peaked, typically right now, with our largest industrial user, we went down from 4.5 million gallons per day to about 2.5 million gallons per day at the wastewater treatment plant. The day of the storm, we were peaking at 12 million gallons per day.
When you say foam cups, so you're talking about drinking?
Johnny's burritos cups and everything.
College View drinks.
Everybody uses.
And it's more like in North Imperial by the high school?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you done with the presentation?
Yes,
then?
I'm done.
There was some slides earlier, and it goes back to our maintenance program. I know we used to have a prison crew before that would help considerably, and I know for the most part, I think we were very pleased with the fact that they would come in here and help. Councilmember Wharton and myself were able to meet with some electeds from the Central Valley that work with prisons, and so they did mention to us that the program has changed. I know that we cut it for funding purposes, but it looks like now there isn't a charge for their service. All we need to pay is for the time of the correctional officer that's there. So I think we need to look at that and vet that out a little bit and find out whether or not that's true, and see what we can do to try to incorporate that in our plan again. Because I think we're going to have issues like that if we don't have a continuous maintenance plan. So just wanted to share that with you.
Sure. Definitely take a look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Any questions in regards to the slides or equipment?
Jasmine, that property on the other side of, I would say on the north side of the plant, they were talking about putting a marsh in there at one time.
No. The north side, it's still part of our wastewater treatment plant. It's our sedimentation pond. We still have, to the north, we still have 3 sedimentation ponds. And but the property to the north of the wastewater treatment plant, it's the wetlands. That was the riparian forest created.
Is that still in?
That's still there. That's still there. That's still there. And they actually they came to us. We had a pipeline with canal water for plant establishment for 18 to 24 months. The plants are established, and it's not like very green area, but yeah, it is. I guess it's
I need to go
a bird sanctuary.
I remember when the talks with that. It was years ago, and the property owner really kind of increased the price of their property, and it kind of went to the wayside. But
right, that was a Brwl site for the bypass. That's where they grabbed all the native material for the new highway. So.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the next item is just information reports, record of building permits.
We do not have Mr. Soto here this evening. I excused him from attending due to a family matter that required his attention. Would like to point out a couple of significant building permits. What's included in the package is for June and July. The most significant improvements that are noted is the medical office building over on Legion, which all of you are familiar with. That was estimated $896,000 in improvements. You'll also note quite a few residential improvements that are occurring throughout our city, which is exciting to see. A couple new construction, new residential dwellings, as well as quite a few permits being pulled for Florentine. You'll see there was a 6-plex that was pulled for July, along with about 5 single-family residentials. So plenty of activity underway, including the North Plaza Here, just across the street, we've got a new business coming in that we're excited to welcome at the former Design Shop location. Right.
It's a restaurant?
Yes.
And totals?
We've also got a new downtown tenant, which I hope everyone had a chance to see that update yesterday or today, which is the Desert Review, will be joining us in the downtown core, and we're really excited to see their business grow and prosper right here in the Main Street downtown area.
Congratulations, Lloyd.
Congratulations.
Wish you the best.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. No,
Lloyd will be
he's very
performing.
supportive.
Lloyd will be performing on a regular basis. Performing at 6 p.m.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. We'll move on to the next item, which is city council member reports, and I'll start with Mrs. Noriega.
Well, first of all, most of us, except for our mayor, got to go to the conference up in L.A. Lots of new classes for me. One of them specifically targets females in the community being on different boards. We need I have all the statistics, but to make it shorter, I'm not going to say it. But I will put it on my Facebook so that the women can see. We do need to get out and be not just housewives and mothers and all the other being nurses and everything else in the household. We do need to be part of the community and different boards. So I welcome any female who would like to participate in that or become an elected official. It is very low, the women that participate in an elected official post. And most of the time it's because they shy away from it, they figure it will keep them away from the family. And at some place, some higher position, probably so. I always tell people, they ask, how are you doing on city council? I said, it's 10 times more work than it was on the school board. But I love it, I enjoy it, I like being out there with the community and helping anyone with any kind of problem. If I can't take care of it, our staff will be able to take care of it. So I thank God for where I'm at today, and my grandmother and my mother for that. And I learned that in the classroom. Also, we had this one gentleman who gave he was one of the speakers for our general session. And one of the things that really stuck to me, he said, I is an illness, we is a wellness. So I have to learn to quit saying I did this and I did that, because we are a team up here. So I need to keep the we in, because I don't want to have the illness. I want to be well. So I learned that at the conference, and I tell my fellow council members that I will try very, very hard to do that. And if I don't, and if I say please correct me. Also, I had some amazing meetings in the past, probably 3 to 4 weeks, and I came across some information that I didn't even know. I always wondered, what is the Salton Sea all about? I had to go up to LA to pick up Dr. Farid's 2 daughters, and they wanted to see the Salton Sea, and I said, all there is smell. I wish I would have known the information that was given to me later on after they left and I had the meetings, but I will share it with them one day. The Salton Sea region holds significant amounts of production that is yet to be developed. We could build 8 to 10 or more new power plants, and the newest development is liquid mining of minerals such as lithium, magnesium, potassium, zinc, and more. And all those things are inside the Salton Sea. And did I really realize that, or do a lot of people realize it? No. There is so much that can be done with that. The facilities need to mine these minerals, and they will need about 1,200 employees. Each and every mineral will need its own plant. So there's so many minerals in there that, maybe our fellow, I'm new, so I did not know all this stuff, but it's exciting to to know this. And this could yield thousands of new jobs and a new industry. They're looking at Brawley at the north end because it's closer to the Salton Sea to one day build offices here. I'm excited. I want to stay excited. We need more revenue to help our city. So I'm looking forward to these new industries that are thinking about moving into our town. This new industry could lead to the location and development of associated manufacturing plants with an unknown number of new jobs. So I also went to, and so that's Salton Sea. I also got to be part of Marjo's and the board. They had their special guest, which is Megan Robinson. And it's funny, she was sitting up in front, and I looked at her and I thought, gosh, I know this young lady. Well, then she said, hi, Helen. And I said, where have I seen you? And she says, at the mortuary. She works at the mortuary, had been taking a class back and forth 2 days, 2 nights. Every time she would get out of work, 2 nights, she'd drive all the way to San Diego and she became a forensic specialist, which is wonderful that we have somebody special like that. She has put in applications around, but again, they haven't picked her. I said, don't give up. As a female, there's, as she's implied that other females have applied for this position, and she has found that they are now picking up more females for this position. So I'm really happy to hear that from her, and I told her don't give up. So she gave a great presentation on how she was able to read all the fingerprints and the blood stains, and it took her 2 years to get her certificate. So I congratulate Megan Robinson for that. And I also, for Marjo, they gave the presentation about the book that we were supposed to read. I don't know how many of us read it. I had to be honest and say I did not read it. But I still have it. And when I do read it, I will give it back to Marjo so she can share it with everyone else. I went to the Brwl Chamber. Megan, we haven't gathered in a long time, so I have a lot of places I've been. Gathered at the Brwl Chamber of Commerce for the mixer, and I was there for a while, and then I had to go to Calexico. I was invited to go to Calexico, and I have to say that our Calexico fellow council members were very nice, and they said to say hi to all the council members, and they were happy that one of us at least is going to share what we're doing. And I also spoke to them, and they shared a little bit of what they're doing. So if one of us could always go to one of these, it's always nice. So I went to that. Went to the museum off of the Highway 8 coming down the road, the new museum that's open. I didn't know they'd been open for quite some time, but they just had the grand opening on that day. And it didn't happen that I was going to go. It just happened that I was driving by, and the person I was with said, hey, you want to stop at the museum? And we did. We were probably one of the last 2 people there. So because we were the last one, we got the tour of the inside where all these, what do you call these, bases and that have, and rocks and different things that have been found out that people have donated that are over hundreds of years old. So we got the special tour, and not that everybody else got. So, and I want to thank the community for allowing us to participate in the conference up in LA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Super, thank you. I'll just kind of go back 1 week and just make mention of a few things. Well,
I know. It's
I've
okay.
got several notes.
It was long.
California League of Cities, just as Councilmember Noriega mentioned, I'm sure we're all going to mention. I just want to mention 3 key introductions, and perhaps our Mayor Pro Tem might expand on a few of them. But we did meet the president of Customer Service Advantage, which put on a really nice presentation, about 45 minutes long, specifically on working with cities and customer service improvement. Certainly an initiative, and what that means, and that's for every single one of us that are part of the city, so it's not targeted at particular departments or whatnot, but this owner, president, is based out of San Diego. So I think that works a little bit to our advantage. Pretty accessible. Sounded very enthusiastic about the potential of maybe working with us. So we're going to explore that and share that certainly with our city manager. Met with Logic Tree IT. What they do simply is they have a very inexpensive and a very attractive mobile app. Excited about that because it is something that's been tossed around in some of our marketing and communication discussions that we've had and initiatives. So we're hoping to explore that. Some of these items are items that may take place next year, maybe next budget cycle. But what we were surprised to find out is how inexpensive technology is becoming today. What used to be an app sound like tens of thousands of dollars are now hundreds of dollars in the support that goes behind it on a monthly basis. So we're looking at that. And then one other kind of exciting, little bit initial, a company called Retail Strategies. We met with the senior VP. And all of these vendors, again, were showcased at the conference. These are ones we're singling out because they're kind of particular to some of the objectives that we've had as a council. So I'll leave some further expansion on that a little bit later, but could be a possibility for us to explore for retail strategies for the city of Brawley. Other than that, met dozens and dozens and dozens of local officials all the way to the state level. So it's always a great time, great idea sharing, just as all of us have actually brought up. Everyone learns something and we bring it back here. So hopefully we can take advantage of that. Spent one day at the Mobility 21 conference in Anaheim. That was at the tail end of the League of Cities conference. Once again, just a phenomenal event. Very impressed with how they put it together, and really the level of government. We're hearing really from everything from the governor's office, Department of Transportation, at the federal level, all the way down to major markets and cities like Mayor Garcetti talking about regional transportation issues. Again, just a great opportunity, as Councilmember Noriega mentioned, that allows us to go out there and interact with life on the other side of the hills. So it affects us all. Outside of that, I was going to make mention as a neat keynote speaker, but I'll expand on that some other time. Other than that, just a quick announcement, the Brawley Business Advisory Committee, that's come up. I hope to work very closely with our city manager to have something put together and put out in far as communication to our relatively newly appointed committee members. And hopefully we can get that rolling next month, month of October. I wanted to hold off a little bit in September just based on the fact we've had a lot of activity with the city, including back-to-back meetings and these conferences. So we endeavor to get that going. Excited about that, and I know there's a lot of ideas to share. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay. Same thing pretty much to report. On League of Cities, we, as you know, 4 of us attended. The great event, very well attended, a lot of different people. And I think the most valuable to me there is that networking with a lot of the other people. The city of Fountain Valley, Santee, you name it, we probably met them and spoke with them during that time period. And it's amazing how different we are, but how the same we are when we're dealing with city government issues. And they all struggle, and they all work, and they all have the good things happening in their cities, and they all struggle with the same things we tend to struggle with: infrastructure, roads, all of those types of things. And it's kind of interesting to hear that. It's probably good to hear that because we sometimes think that we're here just alone, but we're really not. There's a lot of cities out there, and they do stick together a lot. I talked to a couple of people. You're amazed at technology on how to deal with concrete that's having problems, where they can inject things underneath, lift things up, drop things down. It's a very interesting subject, and there was a lot of that. Talked to some people about lighting, and we may want to talk a little bit about that since we're talking about new lighting around the plaza area. They had some samples there, and I did talk to some people about that. Had a spirited discussion with mayors against illegal guns, and that was an interesting discussion for me. Went on for 2 days, and I had this discussion with them for like 2 days, and while we agreed to disagree on a lot of different issues, there are some points that I think that they make well, and there are some points that I probably make well, we or I, or whatever you want to call it. And so it was a very spirited discussion. And so I learned quite a bit at this League of Cities. You learn new things every time you go, and it's very, very important. I think that we do attend, and we got to network a lot with our local people, so I was surprised at that. We had a lot of people from Imperial, Calexico had a large contingent, El Centro, and you name it, they were there. And I think that's very, very, Holtville, that's very, very important. I think that they are there. And we get to talk to them probably more there than we do around here. So in some cases, unless we're having a League of Cities event, there, we tend to talk with them a whole lot, and we talk about different issues, and we laugh at Calexico and so on and so forth. But other than that, and they laugh at themselves sometimes too. But that was it was a very interesting League of Cities. I did attend the mixer at the Brawley Chamber. I thought that went really well. It was a little warm in there, but it went very well. They had some old pictures there that I was very impressed with, and got to meet some people there, and some new people are around, and I think we're moving around, and there's a lot of things going on. So I'm happy that summer's almost over, and we can settle back into, and we'll get started again. I talked to the veterans today, and they said they're getting ready for the November 11th. So they'll probably be contacting us here, and we'll set up that for the November 11th ceremony that will probably be out here at our memorial. And so that's always a good event, and they'll be preparing for that. Other than that, that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Nava?
Well, I'll try not to go too long, but I'll touch on some of the points that the rest of the council did talk about. Attended the California League of Cities, and really this has been the best experience that I've had at California League of Cities. Was able to meet a whole lot of people. In fact, I think Councilmember Wharton and I, we made it a mission to go out and meet as many people as we could. We had some goals in mind to try to learn a little bit more about some marketing strategies, retail strategies, and customer service plans. And that's what we did. But we were able to meet over 100 people. I know I came home with over 100 business cards, and I gave mine out as well. And we've already had contact with some of the vendors and customer service reps that were out there. So it's been very effective. I thought it was very, very effective. Since I serve on the ICTC, which is a transportation commission, they also had a conference in Anaheim on Friday, which was the last day of the league conference. So I invited Councilmember Wharton to go with me, and there was about 1,000 people in attendance. Great event. We had a fantastic keynote speaker. In fact, we were privileged enough to sit at the table with the keynote speaker and some of the award recipients from that event. So it was well attended by public officials and from those in the public sector that deal with transportation issues. And Mark Baza was there from ICTC. But it really was impressive to hear what's happening in other parts of the state. Transportation issues affect us here in Imperial County. We don't recognize it as often, but it does. We have, interstates and other areas that impact our lives every day. But overall, fantastic event, which was the California League of Cities and Mobility 21. I got a lot out of it. I always do, but really this time I think it was just the fact that we were sort of working together and approaching people and talking to them. You just get to meet so many people and network with them and learn from their experience and participate in the different classes that take place. So I know our fire chief was there, and other staff members, our city manager, and they had their own and I believe we had invited our new city attorney to attend for a city attorney's conference. He wasn't able to, but there's just so much to learn at these events, and I always encourage staff, whenever you have an opportunity to get training or attend a conference to learn something that you can apply in your department to help us be a better city, certainly do it. I always encourage training, learning opportunities. So again, that was just a great experience for me. I hope it was for the rest of our council. And I think we're going to be able to apply some of these things. As Councilmember Wharton has stated, there's some really exciting, inexpensive applications out there. I just emailed a company today that had contacted me. There's a mobile app that we can get for about $800. That's a startup fee. There's about a $1,700 a year fee after that, but it really allows you to use it for code enforcement, use it for all kinds of stuff. You can put your calendar on there, all sorts of things that the city is doing. Somebody can just snap a picture and it's branded. It's City of Brawley app. So it would be a City of Brawley app. Somebody would download it at the iTunes store, or they could get it for an Android phone or a Windows-based phone. They would download the app. They can, if they see a blighted area or if they see graffiti, they take a picture of it. It sends it directly to whoever we designate. That person gets it, and it's just an incredible tool for the city. And I think we're at the point now we're talking about making some improvements. We're really at the point where we need to start to implement those things because people are on their phones. That's one way to reach them. That we're, you know, a website nowadays is antiquated. It really is. I mean, a website's a website, but it's an antiquated form of delivering information. You know, that's nice to have, but mobile apps, those are, I mean, that's what people are using, text messaging, those sorts of things. So we need to be, if we can't afford to do everything, at the very least we need to do things we can afford to do and do them well. And that was really an impressive application. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share. It's probably longer than you wanted to hear, but I think I benefited tremendously, and I hope that I can bring what I learned back to the city and it benefits everybody. So thank you.
Mayor, I just wanted to thank Sam, first of all, for waiting for me while they looked for my cane. I lost the cane. And Rosanna for driving us up there and back safely.
Yes.
And then for the other two guys that everywhere I went, I was going to get some stuff, and they said, don't worry. George and Johnny already have all the paperwork. I said, oh, good, good. So I just took the gifts they were giving
there you
out.
go.
So thank you guys for doing the work, the footwork. There was a lot of walking.
It was.
Yes.
Whoa. Okay, thank you.
I want to thank my colleagues for making that trip. I had some other obligations and I didn't make it, but I've enjoyed the League of Cities, the conferences that they put on. But I'll be heading out tomorrow night, heading to LA back to the SCAG meetings. It's time to get back involved with SCAG. And I went to the news conference where Senator Ben Wessel talked about the biodiesel plant that's going in north of Brawley and the sugar cane and some of that going on. And they're just starting with the county with the permitting process and getting that off the ground. And there'll be a lot of more information out on that. But that was pretty exciting. There was a lot of folks in Imperial that went to that. And the last thing I want to mention the Breast Cancer Coalition meeting that I attended this evening. That was an eye-opener. And at the end of that, to hear Linda Cady said, you know, this meeting lasted exactly an hour, and there's 1,000 women and men combined, because I guess men get breast cancer also. But to hear somebody say that we started this meeting at 5:45 and we're going to end it at 6:45, there's 1,000 people died from breast cancer. It's just, you know, so it's really impressive to see folks get together and put a challenge together to try to get that done by 2020. So I would like to see us put together some type of a resolution to support their efforts and do what we can to help. But other than that, I don't know if we should go quiet or dark anymore in August. Seems like we have a lot of things that's going on. So, yeah, we did have some meetings. But as always, I do want to thank staff for doing their work and being committed to our community and our folks that live here. And I ask that God continue to bless you guys and your families and keep us all. The next item is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Campbell. Just a few items to touch on. At tonight's city council meeting for the city of Calipatria, the Two Rivers Rest Area closure will be taking up. I will report out to council at next week's meeting regarding the outcome. I do anticipate that it's likely that a letter of support will come forward. Caltrans is requesting the same from the city of Brawley, that we go on the record regarding their proposed closure of that facility. At the next council meeting, we've also tentatively scheduled the Ivy Desert Museum to come out and make a presentation at Councilmember Noriega's request. We've got some wonderful updates to provide to the city about regional efforts underway regarding cultural resources in the valley. So that is planned for the next agenda. I wanted to ask if the council might be open to the naming of a subcommittee for marketing or public relations. And my reason for asking for it, my hope would be, if there's support for the concept, that we could place it on the next council agenda. As we move forward with the video vignettes, the topics come forward of what are the subject matters to be considered. And I
Right.
think having council member input is going to be important. Do you want them cut and dry? Do you want them community event oriented? We certainly have many, many things happening in the city of Brawley, but having that messaging be coherent. I know there are some champions amongst the council. If that's of interest, I would request that a subcommittee be designated by the council with the blessing of the council to assist staff with making those decisions on content.
You know, I was going to mention the recordings that I participated in with Jay, and
yes,
I couldn't open those, so
I didn't have problems on mine opening.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Maybe we can sit together and I can show you the content.
Okay.
Me neither.
Mr. Mayor, I would be very interested in serving on the committee to help with this project. I know it's something we've worked on for a while, so I'd be very happy to do that.
And I'd be happy to place the item on the agenda for council action at the next meeting, if that's okay.
I would as well, but I do want to make it clear with the idea that obviously what we're wanting to do is keep that communication with the entire council and certainly the public. So this is it's wide open for input, but I would sure like if I can lend some expertise in the area, and the only reason why I would really like to volunteer for that is it's really one of the things I do for a living as well. So if I can put in some valuable input, you know, at least the outset of the project, I'd be happy to.
I'm not anticipating it'll be policy level discussion. It's more
Sure, just
the content, so that staff and I aren't making final decisions about what subject matter are to be taken on. Same will go for the website migration, looking for some specific focused comments from council members on the direction that is headed.
And part of the discussion came from Spectrum contacting us like, hey, well, what do you want to cover? I was like, well, I don't know yet, because we need to ask council to see what everybody's in favor of doing. But anyway. Yeah.
And then a couple other quick items. At the last regularly scheduled meeting in July, it was requested that the Business Advisory Committee goals and objectives come back to the council for a full discussion. So what I was hoping to do was place that item on the next agenda, if that's acceptable to the council.
It's next week.
Next week,
right,
yes. It will be posting on Thursday.
Perfect.
So that one as well. And then lastly, want to make note that our city engineer was recently named as one of Mana's Las Primeras.
Yes.
And we have an event coming up in October to honor her and two other ladies in Imperial Valley who are leaders in our community. So we have a request from a council member to do a sponsorship or acquire a table, and I will bring that item as a council item for discussion at the next council meeting.
Congratulations. Yeah.
That's great.
And that's all I have to report, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. The next item on the agenda is the city attorney's report. And
City treasurer.
Okay. Well, it's been a pretty smooth transition. I've been getting kind of a running transition brief from the city manager. running. But it's been efficient and it's working out. And the first thing I turned my attention to is the Courtner King residence, because that was a problem when Dennis and I were in the same firm at Horton Knox. And anyway, first I called the receiver, what's going on, why aren't you doing something? And he told me he only had 2 contractors for the cleanup and he wanted 3. Well, who are they? They weren't local contractors. So I got on the phone, I called Elms Equipment, I called EFR, who are local guys, and they, anyway, tomorrow we're going out to the site to take a look. So that was handled in about 20 minutes. And so I'll go with them to see that, and I told the receiver that this is a hot button item. It has to get done. It has to get done right now. So that, away we go with that. With respect to the rest areas, you know I'm the city attorney for Calipatria. I guarantee you that Calipat will support that. I had lunch with the Calipat interim chief of police today. He says that rest area has turned into a coyote drop-off, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. Calipat rolls their probably as much or more as the sheriff. And so he'd be happy to get rid of it. So anyway.
And my thinking is if folks are traveling, why not stop in Calapat and spend those dollars, or if they're going the other way, stop in Brawley. It's only 10 miles between the cities.
Yeah, maybe just signage say, it's 2 miles ahead or whatever it is, because it's a dangerous spot.
It is. It's not good. And, I'm not aware of it. That's not how I get to Calapat.
Scary.
It's easier to go up Brant Road, but I asked Lynn, and he's aware of everything that happens up there, and he's like, oh yeah, that's very shady. Don't go there. And so, he knows. Our chief of police in Calapat patrols 60 hours a week, and he knows what's going on.
I think at one time it may have been used more for as a dump station for the RVs and things coming through that area and stuff before the bypass and before a lot of other things that go on.
Like when Raymer Lake was still active.
Yeah, and I think when Raymer Lake was pretty active, I think it had a lot of usage, and it probably was a good thing. Now I notice that people don't really stop there very infrequently, and so you can see where it would. My only concern would be if they shut it down and just leave it vacant. It's even going to maybe be worse than what it already is.
Well,
so they have to take some kind of steps, I think, to do some things with it.
And one of the things, also, I'm on the Fish and Game Commission, but I'm going to have to resign because same meeting night as this. But Raymer's not going to.
What are you resigning from, that or the?
But they're not even going to be putting water in Raymer this year.
Yeah,
so it's.
It is so ugly out there and so scary that I don't think anyone in their right mind should be out there day or night. I took a ride out there just about a week ago, and it's ugly.
I wouldn't want to be on there.
Anyway,
you wouldn't want to use the restroom there?
Just wanted to report what I heard from the chief of police in Calapat. But anyway, thank you for hiring me. Very exciting. I love city attorney work, and unfortunately I don't give very much in Calapat because their budget is so small that they're just, all they're trying to do is keep the lights on up there.
Ours is small too, so don't.
Unfortunately, you won't get very much here because ours is small
Hey,
too.
Roseanne, he's so excited. Give him some more work.
I'll introduce you to our guys, and you'll find out what small is.
No, I understand.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. City clerk.
Report.
Nothing to report. And treasurer. Nothing to report.
He's not here.
Okay. We're gonna go into closed session, and again, I thank everyone for coming out this evening.
Yeah.
Have a safe trip to the house.